Hi, OJ. I killed my mother because of my wife. Please hear me out. I'm already suicidal about the whole situation. All I need now is a listening ear. Life was hitting me hard at the age of 27. I had no job and was very depressed. My mom was on pension, so she linked me up with her former colleague to help me get a job. 6 months later, the man came through for me. He landed me a good job at a very big oil and gas company here in Ghana. That moment was a turnover in my life. Ever since, I cherished my mom so much. I did everything for her. Until 2 years later, I met my wife. She had a struggling background, but I loved and admired her so much. So a year after I met her, we decided to tie the knot. I introduced her to my mom, and the first response my mom gave me was that it wasn't going to happen. I asked her why, OJ, and all she said was she had a bad feeling about my wife. I confronted her several times that I loved my wife, and she having a bad feeling is not a good reason to reject her. This issue turned into a very big disagreement in my family because I really loved my wife and I wanted to settle down with her. Fast forward, my mom agreed just because she didn't want to fall apart with me. We got married and ended up with two beautiful children. During this period, my mom developed hypertension. So I suggested she moved in with us so she can get better care from myself and my wife. My wife disagreed, but I took my stand as a man and moved my mom in with us. Unknown to me, OJ, that was the beginning of hell in my matrimonial home. Ever since my mom moved in, there has been no single moment where these two wouldn't exchange insults. They disagreed on almost everything in the house. My home became chaotic with no peace at all. Meanwhile, I couldn't choose sides when all these things were happening. Fast forward, 7 months after, things started going bad for me financially, and my mom's health situation was draining me massively. It was so bad to the extent that I had no emergency money saved up. It is at this point that I would ask that you subscribe to the channel, share a comment or a post, because that is the only way you encourage me to bring you more stories and more confessions. Please subscribe. Let's go. Sometimes my wife helps with the feeding of the house because she realized all the investments had collapsed. She later suggested we go and see her pastor because she believed what was happening might be spiritual. I was eager to get back to my feet, so I agreed. We went to see the pastor, and he immediately made mention of my financial struggles as if he already knew. Finally, he told me my mother was the cause of all the pain and struggles in my life. I didn't believe it instantly, but I thought of it and realized all these problems started just when my mom moved in with us. So I got furious and angry, headed straight home and told my mother to pack out of my house because she was a witch. She cried and begged, but I had already made up my mind. I wanted to get back to my feet. I was so desperate to be back on my feet, so since I was told she was a problem, I made instant moves to pack her out. Later that evening, I packed her out. I felt so relieved I threw her things out into the night. The next morning, I got up ready for work only to open the gate and see my mother's lifeless body in front of my gate. The hypertension got the better of her. I have never wept in my entire life like I did that morning when I saw her lifeless body. It meant that she had nowhere to go, so she stayed at the gate that night until she couldn't take it anymore. Ever since that night, I have never spoken with my wife till date. I regret and I want to divorce my wife because she has no remorse concerning what happened. She keeps whispering into my ears that I am better off without a witch as a mother and she deserves it. I filed for divorce and we are in the process. I need someone to talk to, OJ. I am so depressed right now. For another interesting story, click on this video.